Good afternoon and welcome to Bulletproof. I'm Bob Coleman, your host, and you're at the right program because you're at the program called Bulletproof, the program where you will hear from giants all over the world in the field of multi-level marketing, and these giants are going to share their story on how they made it even when things got a little rough and how they proved themselves to be bulletproof. And today, I am so honored to have as my guest Miss Carol Fletcher. I've been knowing Carol now for a while, and she's a giant in the field of multi-level marketing. So, Carol, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bob. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to be your guest this afternoon.
Awesome. My rules are always quite simple, and that is, with Bulletproof, we talk about how you made it, how you consistently continue to go through the hard times, through the rough times. Life throws curves at all of us at one time or another, but we all have to prove ourselves to be bulletproof. So having said that, tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
I would gladly share a little bit of my story this afternoon, and thanks again for the opportunity to do so, Bob. Whenever given a chance to do it, I just truly feel privileged because I know that in everybody's story, there is someone's life that will be touched as a result of it. So that certainly is my desire today, that someone be blessed through my journey. My journey in multi-level marketing started as a result of somewhat of a dark period in my life. Had been married for 22 years, was going through a divorce, and needed to supplement my income. As I reflected back on those times, I realized even then I never really was the type of person that would back down from a challenge. And though this was a challenge that I had not planned for, I knew that I wasn't willing to go backwards, to have to leave my home, to have to give up my car or some of the life possessions that I had acquired through my success. So I just had to figure it out. But it wasn't as simple as I had hoped. I didn't possess any obvious skills. And there's some people out there that probably are saying the same thing. Man, I would love to take on a business or to start my own business or to create another revenue stream, but I don't have the obvious skill sets or talents. I'm not a great writer, or I can't bake well enough to sell my bakery goods, or I'm not good at cooking, so I can't go into catering business. So in some cases, your God-given talents are not very evident to you at first. And that was my situation. I didn't have any of those skills. God had really blessed me with a gift of gab and a love for people. So I knew whatever it was that I did, it would have to include those two things. So I did what I knew to do, and that was to really connect with other individuals that were like-minded, that wanted more and was willing to work for it, and that could really maybe pour into my spirit and answer some questions that I had about what my next steps were going to be. So I went to a networking meeting. The goal really was to kind of look for advertising clients. As you know, I come from an advertising background in the radio industry, and that's where I was full-time. But I was looking just to grow that business. I felt like if I could make a little extra money there, then hopefully that would help to take some of the financial pressure off. And eventually I would figure out what I'm going to do next. So I'm at this networking event. I met this lady who I really, really connected with. We vowed to really support each other in our business endeavors, and we exchanged cards. She handed me her card, and it said, Mary Kay Cosmetics. And I'm like, oh, no. The first thing that came to mind was all the negative. And though we normally do that, we normally go to a place of lack, of what we don't like about it, or what we can't do, and I'm not good at this, and that's where I went. When she handed me her card, I'm like, oh no, I'm not really into the makeup, and that I don't know if that's a product that I could wear very well, and oh man, and so I went to that place. But it was something about her spirit, Bob, that I really appreciated and drew me to her. And I wanted to be a woman of my word and keep my promise. So I said I would support her, and I did. And lo and behold, I literally fell in love with the product. I
Wow.
did. And I think that the lesson in that experience is just to remain open, remain available throughout the process, because you never know how those tiny steps moving forward will land you, to that higher level in your life. And so that is what that personal experience taught me. Just fast forwarding, I was an avid customer of Mary Kay products and wore them regularly because I loved the way they made my skin feel. I loved the way people complimented my skin after wearing them. And literally, it kind of took on a life of its own in that people were asking me to purchase everything that I had on my face. And so I gladly obliged, getting all of these orders for the young lady that sold them to me. And still, I'm asking God, what is it that you have for me to do, Lord? I need a secondary income to support my children. What would you have me to do? And Bob, I heard this inner voice say to me, I've already given it to you, but you just won't step into that power.
Wow.
And I thought about it, and I said, it couldn't be this Mary Kay thing, because, I went back to that other place. I'm not really good at it. I'm not into this, and I don't think that my friends would like it. I just went to that place of lack. But then I started researching, and I discovered some pretty significant things about this business called Mary Kay. And having done that, it didn't take me long to make the decision to take a leap of faith into this faith-based business platform called Mary Kay Cosmetics. And here I am 16 years later, and my life, as well as the life of my children, has been changed forever.
Wow. You touched upon, within that's an awesome story, and you touched upon a couple of things that I normally ask my guests, and that is, I ask them, being in the industry of multi-level marketing or being introduced to the industry of multi-level marketing, we all hear the word scam, we all hear the words pyramid, and I think that may have been something that you may have experienced within yourself when the lady gave you her card, maybe.
Absolutely. and I'm just like, oh no, I'm not really interested in this. I need something legitimate.
Wow.
But I tell people all the time, you know what, Bob? Don't just take your word for it or my word. Do your homework, research. That there is so much information, and the global social media platform that we have at our disposal right now. It makes information so accessible. And having done that, I realized that unlike some dual marketing opportunities or the pyramids and all of that, Mary Kay's business practice was very, very simple. We all came in as independent consultants, and we bought directly from the company. So there was no middle person. Our success, our growth along the Mary Kay career path is not based on someone else's success. It is based on our own individual performances. So it is very likely that I personally could have shared this business opportunity with an individual who joined my team but surpassed me along the career path based off of their own individual performance. So when you think of pyramids, you think of reaching a certain point and not being able to go past the individual that brought you in, or your growth being dependent upon their growth. It is totally the opposite. Oh, totally the opposite. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we both coming from you're in radio. I worked in radio. Well, we were on different sides of the microphone, but we were all in the same industry. But I tell people all the time, if it is to be, it's up to me. And that's what I love about this industry. Making money for other people, which is what we do in corporate America, and we get a small piece of the pie. But you said something that really hit home, and that is when you just said you basically you get paid for what you're worth.
Absolutely.
And so I tell people all the time, if I tell them what I'm doing or tell them about the company that I'm working with, and I'll tell them, or they'll say something, oh, I heard of that, or that's one of those things, or I tried that and I can't make any money. I couldn't make any money doing that. And I'll tell a person in a minute, be careful what you said, because what I just heard you say was, for the first time, somebody gave you an opportunity to make what you were worth.
Wow. Wow.
Powerful. And so if you tell me you couldn't make any money, well, I tell them that, go back and get a job, keep your mouth shut, and if you don't say nothing, I won't say nothing. But Carol, do this, if you would, share with my audience a time when it got a little rough for you in reference to Mary Kay, and what did you draw on to become bulletproof? What did you use?
Oh man, that is such a great question. I will do my best to answer it as simple as possible, because you know what? There usually, when faced with situations like that, is not an easy solution. First of all, I had to acknowledge that I was stuck. People weren't really answering my calls as quickly as I wanted. There were people in my ear with words of a discouragement. There were times when I would host an event or a party and no one would show up or no one would buy anything. And even though you knew that was part of this process, it still didn't numb the feeling of discouragement. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I appreciate about my business is that it is a faith-based business. Almost 56 years ago, Mary Kay Ash started this company based off of God's principles of putting your faith first, your family second, and your career third. She always felt that in that order, everything worked. And out of that order, nothing worked. So during times of discouragement, Bob, I truly, truly relied on those principles to get me through. And what I mean by that, I just kind of reflected on my faith, and I reflected on God's promises to live a life of abundance, to seek Him first and His kingdom, and all things will be added. And so I didn't really go on this journey alone. I went on this journey knowing that God was leading me and guiding me through the process. And for every stumbling block that was thrown in my way, it was an opportunity to elevate me, to prepare me for that next level. So I no longer would look at it, as a setback. I just looked at it as a step up to the right direction, just, preparing me for that. So every no that I encountered got me closer to that yes. You know what I'm saying? Because
absolutely. Absolutely.
And so it just became a mindset, just conditioning of my mind. And then, you know what, are we going to allow other people to determine our success is basically what it amounts to. If I get discouraged and give up and quit because she said no, or because she didn't like what I had to offer, then I'm putting my whole livelihood into the hands of other individuals. So I just was not willing, I think that was a really important part of it. And I had to reflect back on why I started this business in the first place. Yes, it was an important aspect of creating a revenue stream to help support my children and myself. But I really, really fell in love with the fact that it was a way to enrich the lives of other women. I just love that aspect of it. And as long as I would continue to work in that passion, the rest is going to come. It is. I just know it. I believe it. And I just would continue to work in that manner. And then the last thing I would do, I would look at the two mouths that I had to feed. And when I didn't want to pick up the phone, when I didn't want to go out that door, when I was feeling a little bit discouraged, I looked at those two individuals who were dependent upon me. What example was I setting for my children? What was I saying when the going got tough and I backed down from a challenge? What example was I leaving for them? So when I reflected on all of those things, my faith and my family, the career took off.
Wow. Awesome. I mean, you have really and truly proven yourself to be a bulletproof individual when it comes to what you're doing, when it comes to the industry, when it comes to Mary Kay. So if you had to look into the microphone and give some direct advice to someone who may be at the edge of taking that first step, what advice would you give them?
Wow. You know what? I think there's so many words that are in my heart, but what I hear resonating is what my mother shared with me, who has gone on to be with the Lord. But she always lived by the standards of to thine own self be true. And I really think that you have to be true to your God-given calling. You really, really do. And a lot of us are living in fear, or we are attached to a paycheck, or we are reluctantly going into a work environment that is toxic and is not really good for us. And we're settling. We're allowing somebody else, as you spoke of earlier, Bob, to determine our wealth and our worth. And I just feel like at some point we've just got to take a stand, and we've got to reclaim our lives and not turn it over to someone else to determine the outcome of the story. We were the authors and the finishers of our stories. And so what story, or legacy are you going to leave if we continue to live in fear? It's work, yes. It requires time and it requires energy. But I think that you're worth it. I know that you're worth it. So there are just so many reasons, I think.
Absolutely.
But those are the ones that really just reign in my heart. They really do.
Okay. Well, last but not least, if someone's listening today and they wanted to get in contact with you to be a part of your Mary Kay team, give your information and tell them how they could contact you.
Oh, I would love to. Again, my name is Carol Fletcher. You can certainly find me on my Mary Kay website, which is www.marykay.com /Mayfield2, MAYFIELD, the number 2. And there's a story behind that, but I won't take up time to to share it. But that's my Mary Kay website. And then my email is Carol, CAROL, .A, like an apple, .Mayfield, MAYFIELD, @gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, Carol Fletcher, it has been a pleasure and an honor to have you on Bulletproof today as my guest.
Wow.
And I
Pleasure's been mine.
I see nothing but success for you in the future. I always give my guests the last word. Anything you want to share or say in closing?
You know what? The words of Mary Kay just reign in my spirit as I close out this afternoon. And I would just say, treat everybody as if you would want to be treated, but even more importantly, approach them as if they had an invisible sign around their neck that says, make me feel special. By doing that, you not only will change the life of others, but you will certainly change the life of yourself. So,
awesome.
Blessed everybody.
Awesome. Well, this is Bob Coleman of Bulletproof Guys, and thanks for listening to the show today. And always remember, if you say you can't, you're right. You can't. If you say you won't, you're right, you won't. But what I say is never, ever give up, and always remember, in all you're getting, get bulletproof. Have a great day.